It's 4:30 on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. Here we are. We're in the last third of November already. Thanksgiving's like in a week and a half from now, a week and a few days. And it's about 70 degrees right now. Just standing in the sun is a little bit hot. And look at the grass here. Look at the transition from where they were at to where they're going here. Thick, beautiful green grass. I think it's a combination of, well, I know that this is Bermuda grass. There could be some other grasses in there, some cool season grasses. Let me show you a better close-up of the grass that's under that tree. Oh, by the way, that sheep right there is eating weeds. You know, I got some words about that. I ran my head into a tree branch right there. My goodness. I was looking at the grass, and I'm glad I had a hat on. Otherwise, I'd be bleeding right now. Yeah, so this is the cool season grass that is growing under this tree. It's already 3 or 4 inches long. Very thick, very nice. There's lots of manure here that grass can take advantage of. So it should do just fine. Probably don't have a very long growing season this autumn. I feel like the cool season grass has only started growing a couple weeks ago. And probably by mid-December, I imagine it'll stop growing, unless we get a continuous heat wave. The ryegrass just doesn't do well in very cold weather when it's like near freezing or below freezing. But yeah, let me talk about this for a second. Hey, I watched this interview, RFK Jr, with this guy who's been doing regenerational ag for over 20 years, and he said that he was selling his beef directly to a distributor that was advertising that beef as being superior in quality for people who are trying to build muscle mass and become athletic and things like that. And he had it analyzed in a study that he helped to co-author back in the day. The analysis was to test to see if it was more like venison that was raised in the Rocky Mountains, and sure enough, it was very similar to the venison in terms of nutrient density. And that all owes to the fact that the animals are eating just whatever's out here, not just grass, but all kinds of things. And so the sheep and the cows, they're looking not just for grass to bulk up on, but they're looking for other things that have other nutrients that they need to build very healthy bodies that are full of nutrition. And that's one of the goals here, is to make better food, right? There's a lot of excitement around RFK Jr. Being in charge of the Health and Human Services in the federal government. It was funny, I think the New York Times put out an article saying like, hey, Fruit Loops isn't that different from the Canadian Fruit Loops, when it is in fact very different. They put a chemical in the Fruit Loops that is supposed to preserve freshness, you know, but it's one of those, I think I saw the word fennel in there. So it's not something that you would probably go to the store and buy for yourself and sprinkle on your food and think that you'd be healthier for it. And Canada, they use natural dyes from blueberries and things like that, but here in the United States, we just use chemical dyes. So hopefully that's just the tip of the iceberg. I know that a lot of people are complaining that seed oils might be taken off the market. That's not really what we're about, or at least not what I'm about, but I don't think RFK Jr. is about either, listening to what he says. It's not about limiting choice, it's about providing choice. Right now, your only option really is seed oil. Like, we're looking at opening a restaurant, and I would love to use tallow, beef tallow, to cook my fries in. That's well known as being the best, but the issue is there just isn't an industry around tallow, right? I don't know why. The seed oils are so much cheaper than tallow. It shouldn't be. Is there some kind of regulation that prevents tallow from being distributed easily? Another thing too is the lard that you buy in the store is hydrogenated. It's not natural lard. And They add hydrogen and they do some kind of process to modify it, make it more shelf stable, right? So if I'm going to do tallow or lard, I need to go to a local processor and ask them for all the scraps that they can spare. And then even then, inside the tallow and the lard, depending on what kind of animal, how the animal was raised, it's going to have a different nutrient quality, right? The grass-fed beef is more yellow and is more nutrient dense than the grain-fed beef, which is like clear and flavorless, right? So that's something else to look for that I'm thinking about. But anyway, I think that if we're able to give people an educated decision, rather than tell them that, hey, you need to eat lots of carbs, lots of fats, and a little bit of protein, actually tell them what actually is going on inside your body and how much protein we actually need to eat, you know, and where that protein needs to come from. Soy is not going to replace beef or sheep or anything like that. You have to eat animal meats. You have to eat animal fats. People are finding this out, that it's critical to our health. So just telling people that, hey, let's stop lying about nutrition and let's start telling the truth. Let's start giving people options and information. And I think what will happen is those nutritious foods that we know we're supposed to be eating will become a lot cheaper as they become more and more available. And yeah, the profit in the agricultural industry may go down. I don't think so. You know, doing this kind of agriculture, I believe I should be able to give you a pound of beef cheaper than Walmart can, provided you just get the regulations out of the way. You know, make it legal for me to harvest my own meat and sell it. We were harvesting chickens, and you know, the first couple chickens we used the bleach water. You put a little bit of bleach there. I think it's 5% solution or something small. You know, 5 parts whatever ppm. It's 5 ppm is what it was, where you can just barely smell the bleach. And we were using that, and I said, yeah, as an experiment, let's take the later chickens and just use fresh water. Just rinse them out with a hose. And sure enough, those later chickens, they don't smell like bleach at all. And they seemed fine. I mean, they didn't seem to rot any faster than any other meat. In fact, they lasted a lot longer in the fridge than the meat that I buy in the store. You know, so I think it's probably better to buy animals that have just been processed in a clean place, rather than processed with sanitizing solution and things like that. So, I mean, obviously I'm going to wipe down the counters and the tools with, you know, a bleach solution, sanitizing solution or whatever. But when it comes to the meat itself, I don't see a need to touch it with bleach if everything else is clean. And, you know, we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's funny because I think Pennsylvania sued that Amish guy who was selling raw milk. And they said that it was a health hazard because it could be infected with stuff. And they did a survey of like where all the E. coli and different infection reports come from. It's not coming from small guys. Farms like me don't have E. coli. You go across the country, that's universally true. I got a cow out there. She needs to come in. But it's not coming from us, right? It's the big processors. When you get a bunch of animals together in unsanitary conditions, and then you lie to yourself and say, well, if we just use bleach water, you know, it'll solve all the problems. No, it won't. You got to start clean, right? Start with clean tools and a clean animal living in a clean place here. You know, their manure, it's all back there. That's where their manure is. And they're going to stay here for a while, munching all this fresh grass. And in the course of that, they're going to drop some manure, and then I'm going to move them again. And so they'll be eating grass that doesn't have manure under it. Or the last time they pooped here was months ago, right? So that's what we want to see in the animals. Anyway, just my random thoughts. Take from it what you will. Have a great day, everybody. Take care and bye-bye.